All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's going on? Go Collect, Richie Smalls, Kenny, Gator Nation, Michael, and the man, the myth, the legend, the birthday boy, the birthday man, the safety maiden king, the man himself, Gyiraszin. Happy 52nd, if I remember correctly. Birthday, take it away. I hope you're having a great day so far. Excited to talk some baseball with you.
Yeah, thanks, brother. Appreciate it. Appreciate everybody out there who's passed along the birthday wish. Has been a lot of fun today. Just been kind of chilling out, Title. I had one of those. It was like my birthday weekend. So, my daughter also, who is 18, basically, she, it's all about her, Title. It doesn't really matter. But we hung out, got drunk about 3 days in a row, played some cornhole. My arm hurts from playing cornhole so much. But, had a lot of fun. And then, hey, I wake up today, get a birthday present. As a baseball fan, Angel Hernandez, see ya. He's retiring. So I was like, man, that's kind of cool. And then I woke up and I was thinking, dude, it's 100 days till the first day of football, the first game of football. It's exactly 100 days today. Let's go. I mean, hey, it's a pretty good day. Can't complain. I took today off of work from the day job. Like I said, just been lounging around, looking at some baseball stuff, just doing what I like to do, peace and quiet. Had a couple safety meetings, put my safety meeting shirt on.
I love it.
Having a good old time today. But what a slate we got here. We got a big one. Usually they are big on two. Last week we had like 8 games, but we get a little later start today, 7:20. That was kind of odd. But man, what's up with these sites lately too, man? Get a fucking slate right for once. Jeez, oh Pete's, like they break them all up like they do each one. It's like FanDuel's usually the worst. But hey. Been a good day today, Title. Can't complain. Got my truck washed for free. I'm going out to dinner here in a little bit after the show here, after I get my lineups all set. So gonna have some fun with that. But hey, let's talk some baseball. Break this shit down.
Hey, that's awesome. I'm glad you're having a good day. Plenty of safety meetings, always good. Dinner's always good. The one thing that stood out though, Gyiraszin, I didn't know you were like those chicks. Birthday weekend? You just said you had a birthday weekend. I thought like last week.
Well, that's because I drank every day and blamed it on my birthday. You got to have a reason.
Okay. I didn't know you needed a reason. You just drink whenever you want to drink.
Well, then maybe too, for the wife too, you got to get some birthday booty. So I kept using that as an excuse.
There you go.
It's my birthday.
There you go. I love it. What's going on, LSU, William, Jeff, No Stop, Ben? Hope you guys doing well out there. Like button. 10 likes already? 13? We appreciate all those likes right away. Don't like asking much. Like button, subscribe button right away, though. Helps us out a ton. Watching live, watching on playback. Hope you guys and girls had a great Memorial Day weekend. I guess Memorial weekend. Enjoyed the day off yesterday. If you had it, Gyiraszin is enjoying his day off. Today, 10 games on tap. Pitching is really loaded, I think. I think there's multiple people in a lot of ranges that you can go. Bats, I think, are more condensed, at least talking a 10-game slate. 4 teams with the team total above 5. We do have Coors Field on the slates. Plenty of low team totals, which is the case when we have good pitching. That's my broad slate overview. Any broad slate overview for you, Gyiraszin?
I mean, that's pretty much it. We got some high-end pitching today that looks, pretty good. You can basically decipher it any way you want. You got the Kevin Gausman curveball. He's 8,500 on DK. He's more expensive over on FanDuel. So that's going to kind of mix up where I think some ownership's going to go. And then we got some cheaper guys like Fried, Gausman. You can look at somebody like even Dunning, or if you wanted to go somebody like Paft or Luzardo, there's all kinds of options we got. And then, of course, you mentioned we do got some offenses in pretty good spots. A couple of them are the usual suspects, which I'm sure we'll get to. But, man, I'll tell you, I mean, I think pitching today is kind of interesting, really. I mean, you literally could go several different ways. I mean, many different ways today, which generally, we don't generally get that, it seems. There's either one clear-cut guy at the top, or two. And then, there's usually only one or two guys that are even viable that you really would want to use as an SP2 on DK, let alone your main pitcher on FanDuel. So, but like yesterday, I had Justin Steele in my core. I mean, that was pretty much a gift. The Brewers can't hit lefties to save their life. But I mean, hey, let's look at it. And I gotta make an admission here. I gotta do it today, Title. I was looking into some shit today, and I'll tell you what, I'm gonna put the Indians back in my radar. I'll say that I'm not. I usually say I can't even fucking use them anymore.
Why? Because they're in Coors Field?
No,
they've been hitting.
Not in general. I mean, that's part of the reason why I was looking them up today. Don't get me wrong, but it's only going to be in one scenario from now on. I mean, at this point, that's all they're getting out of me. I mean, if they are going against a righty, I'll think about it. If they're going against the lefty, I'm sorry. It's the other way around. If they're going against the lefty, I'll think about it. If they're going against a righty, it's kind of hard to do. They're one of the better hitting teams against lefties. But, I mean, Jose Ramirez, I did see a funny quote. He said they walked him with the bases loaded, and they said he gave him the Barry Bonds treatment. He said, I'm better than Barry Bonds. That's fucking laughable, dude. That was one of the greatest 2-year stretches of baseball hitting I've ever seen in my entire life. Dude got one pitch a game and he hit it over the fence. But either way, man, I just, I was just looking at things like we got enough data now into the season title where you kind of got to look at some things and where people's minds generally are, like everybody like me, does this every day would think, fucking Indians, they suck. They can't hit out of a paper fucking bag, right? They can't put it together. They got 2 or 3 hitters. That's it. But I mean, you look at their team numbers against righties. I mean, they've been lefties. I mean, they're the second best team in OPS, 787. I mean, I'm just looking all around thinking, man, I can't be too stubborn with myself. And there's a couple guys that came out the gate just being absolute garbage the first month. In April, we've seen some guys turn it around like Aaron Judge. Gausman's on the slate today. We've seen, him turn it around. Hunter Brown's another one. So yeah, it is a kind of interesting slate. So I like it, but man, I got to admit, man, I'll put the Indians back on my radar. I mean, I can't be that stupid. And it's just not because they're in Coors. I mean, it's just the fact that, they deserve it. They've been hitting second highest, but it's only going to be against lefties now. I'm not going to get too silly, but I mean, yeah. And who's going to be getting bumped down real quick are the Brewers against lefties. I mean, I thought that yesterday, man. They can't hit lefties to save their life. Now, against righties, they're one of the best teams in baseball. So it's like, totally night and day. But, man, watching the Brewers yesterday against Steele, I know he's decent arm, but, man, they look lost.
They were lost. Yeah, they were lost for sure. Big Marley, what's going on? Hope you're doing well. Excited to talk some fights with you Friday. Squid's in here. Go Collect's in here. So, yeah, weather. We'll talk some baseball. Weather right here.
Whoa, Go Collect dropping a bomb on us here. Boop, boop, boop. Incoming news. Clevenger scratched, huh?
Yeah, that's very interesting today. Obviously, Clevenger was someone we were looking to pick on. I mean, not like their bullpen's any good. Toronto's always a scary team. Toronto is going to get some ownership, though. Clevenger's bad. Bullpen's bad. Now I assume we don't have any info what they're going to do. It might be like an opener and bullpen game. If that's the case, any thoughts there quick, Gyiraszin? Or do you want to just wait till Toronto against whatever it's going to be if it is a bullpen game? Or do you just want to wait to get news and talk about it in like 30 minutes?
I think, bullpen games are kind of, they're kind of tough, right? We'll have to see who they do roll out there. But, man, they don't got anybody in the fucking bullpen anyway. Awful. That's worth the shit they even begin with. So that's just pretty much going to be a pure shit show. So
Jake Woodford.
In Jake Woodford, okay, he's probably their long reliever. But here's the thing, Todd, a lot of times they got to get 4 innings out of that guy, right? He can get pummeled for 7-8 runs. They're going to probably leave him in there unless he's just, rolling it up there and they're playing kickball. But, I mean, I just think, like in Go Collect is right there, Hendricks. It's either going to be Hendricks or the other lefty there. Who am I thinking of? Damn it. The lefty that was on the Tigers.
For who?
That's their other reliever for the Cubs.
Oh, I don't know what's going to be.
Either way, Hendricks is terrible. He can't. The Brewers are going to eat him alive on the base pass. That's for one, because Hendricks can't hold anybody on. He's pretty much one of the pitchers that gives us one of the most stolen bases. Brewers love to steal bags.
Isn't Ben Brown going to get some work?
Who?
Ben Brown against the Brewers?
Yeah, he's their opener.
He's only you only think he's going to go. He won 6 last time out.
Yeah,
he's only going to go a couple.
Yeah, he's going to be an opener. I think he's only going to go 4 tops probably, and then you'll see Hendricks probably.
So yeah, this Woodford cat hasn't even pitched yet this year. Going back to 2023, he had just 4 1/3, 4 2/3. So it looks like he can get you like 3-4 innings, which probably is what the White Sox are going to hope for. I mean, their bullpen's awful behind. We had 6 starts last year, 6 appearances, 3 2/3, 5 1/3, 5. So yeah, I think of Jake Woodford, you're hoping like 4 innings. The dude looks bad, hasn't pitched this year. Everyone on the White Sox is bad. So that is Clevenger is bad too, though. That's what we were going to attack. Woodford might be worse. Well, when we get there, 4 innings at most, Aaron says from Brown. Thanks. When we get there, we'll touch on the White Sox situation if we have any other word on it. I wanted, again, quick, last Wednesday, or maybe it was last Tuesday, we showed off the Shiptimizer. If you remember, I'm going to do it really quick, then we'll talk some MLB, already 12 minutes in. Definitely go back. Oh, hold on. Producing this. Go back and check out last Tuesday. Was it Tuesday or Wednesday? It was Tuesday. Last Tuesday's show where we talked a little Shiptimizer. So this is updated throughout. Like right now, the projected ownership is definitely wrong. You can see it's updated when it updates, which was recently projections. The ownership is not right now. Here we go, though. Refresh. Shiptimizer. All you go. PGA, MLB, NBA. MMA and NASCAR will be here very shortly. Very excited for this. This is all free right now. MLB with an MLB only package. Otherwise, monthly, 6-month, annual. Main slate. If you want to do turbo, night slate, just a quick rundown. Can sort by salary, pitchers, catchers, first base, etc. Min, max. If you want 60% Zach Wheeler, you can put that. No more than 50% Cortez, you can put that. Going over build settings. This is a lot where the magic happens. You want to make sure you have 2 players under 5% owned. You can do that. 2.5, 10, whatever it may be. Randomness. If you just want the straight optimal, go none. If you want projection, a lot of randomness where the projection hardly matters. Very random right here. Ownership, same stuff. Salary. You don't want to spend $50K? You can go 49.8. You don't want to spend anything less than 48.5. You can set salary right here. Same thing with total ownership. When you build teams, you'll be able to see all the ownership on the right. Just say 187 was the number that you do not want any more team ownership on. There you go. You can, or 190, but you get what I'm saying. You can set that. Min unique players. Do you want a 1v1 in your 20 entry script, or do you want at least 3 different players and everything? Diversify your portfolio more. You can mess with that. Next one, real quick. Team stacks. If you want 100% 5-2s, you can do that. 50% 5-2s, 55 3s, whatever it may be. Certain teams, you can make rules right here. You can build in groups. Tambo talks about it a decent bit. Like if you want to build 10 teams like this, where you want at least 3 Astros, and then you build those 10 teams, and you mess with it after that, and you go to build another 10 teams, etc. That's where you get that. Player groups. Don't use this as much in MLB, but just say today you wanted no more than 1. Let's say these 4 might be somewhat popular, and you want max 1. So you go max 1, min 0, whatever rule you want to make. If you want at least one of these guys, you can make 1 right there. And then build right up here. Oh, you do have to do some guidelines. So this is what I always like to do. Go down to the worst projected. Oh, hold on. I go 99 for max. You're not going to really get these guys anyway. You need to make changes with the projections there. So there you go. Builds 20 teams. Again, this is really quick. We did it last Tuesday, a little more in depth. This is free right now. It will be paid. It'll be the cheapest in the industry by far. So there's 20 teams right here. You can see the salary. Everything will have a 5-man stack because that's what we asked for. This is the projected ownership that you can mess around with. Maybe you see right here of all these builds, I don't want anything more than 95. So you can set that as a parameter. You get your points, your fantasy points. Here's all the teams right here, etc. So Shiptimizer, it's not just MLB right now. That was very quick. Again, last Tuesday, we went more in depth. Exposures right here from our percent ownership. What we got shows how overweight you are to the field, how underweight you are to the field on this, which I think is really cool. You can go to like just second base position and sort by that, etc. Shiptimizer for MLB and PGA right now. NBA, it does not have showdown, so next year it'll be in full force. NFL is ready when it comes back. The NASCAR, MMA will be shortly. If you have a monthly, 6-month, or annual package, you can get both of these right now to mess around with. Shout out our PGA team. Lee Aldrich, the freaking man. Davis Riley, 1% owned, number 1 in the rankings as the winner. Awesome stuff. Huge screenshots there. Mess around with it. It's very easy. Again, to be a member, what you got to do, ShipItNation.com. Then we're going to talk some MLB. Join the nation. Right now, $24 a week. It does not get you the Shiptimizer. It does not get you the Discord community. Still plenty of sports going on. All the content, $24 a week. Although $69 monthly. 6-month comes out to $64 a month. Annual comes out to $58 a month. The Shiptimizer is included for free right now in that. Again, it will be charged. It'll be as cheap as ever. Start messing with it, though. People asking, education courses. You see that with the monthly, the 6-month, etc. If you don't play MLB and you want to just check out, or you haven't played MLB, you want to dabble in it, right here. There's a whole MLB course right there. An hour and a half. There's an NFL one. There's an NBA one. If you just want MLB only, last thing, and we'll talk some pictures. I'm going to throw it to you, Gyiraszin. If you just like, why would I pay for monthly, 6-month, annual if I'm just playing MLB? MLB only memberships also up top. $14 a week, $39 a month, a little over $1 a day, $229 for the season. All of our tools right here. Projections updated throughout. The stone we touched on. Core report, cash report. Slate plan Gyiraszin's on today. Breaks down pitchers, stacks, one-offs. Our rankings, stack rankings, hitter rankings, pitcher rankings, and our slate info. I'm gonna put up pitcher rankings. This is as far as I'm gonna go right now for the premium. We're gonna segue right into pitching Gyiraszin. It's a loaded slate. But again, I wanted to show everything you get. Shiptimizer free. Definitely make sure to dabble and check it out right now. If you are a member, if you're not a member, MLB only is an option. Weekly, monthly, 6-month, annual is an option. If you just like tuning in for free on YouTube, we appreciate you guys very much as well. Get in the Discord if you do join. That's enough of that. Let's talk some baseball, Gyiraszin. 8K and above. Zach Wheeler, 11K. Jesus Luzardo, 8K. This range is absolutely loaded, Gyiraszin. I think Luzardo's very interesting at 8K. Gausman at 8.5 looks way too cheap. Will be one of the most popular. Max Fried's in a solid spot, I think. Luis Castillo, I don't love picking on Houston, but he's a very solid arm. I think in play, maybe gets overlooked a little bit. Cortez, Reagans, Peralta, Wheeler. I think you really could play every single pitcher, 8K and above. Let's see if you can make some cuts, though. How do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of options, that's for sure. But I think Luzardo is interesting. He's been pitching a lot better than he has the last, to start out the season. Last start there, he did get up to 100 pitches, so that's definitely something we want to see. But only had 4 Ks, but he ended up having 8 innings pitched. So we definitely like seeing that against Milwaukee. I would like to see a little bit more Ks, especially seeing how bad they were yesterday. But Luzardo's definitely in play at 8K. I think he's a pivot off some of these other guys we're going to have down here. Now, Gausman, I think for sure on DK is going to be chalky. I mean, let's look at it. He's got the shitty-ass White Sox. He's only 8,500. FanDuel, I think he's the second or third highest price pitcher. He's over 10K on FanDuel. So it's going to be a big difference. But Gausman is going to get a lot of ownership just because it's the White Sox. He's got the win equity. He's been pitching a lot better recently. Last start out, he smashed my Tigers for 10 Ks. But, that's kind of interesting there. And, I was reading something that apparently he said he should have started on the IL to start the season. So, he did pitch through some injury issues, I guess. So he's definitely played. And then Max Fried, I think he's interesting, really. I think Fried's interesting. I mean, he's had some pitch, you look too at his pitch count here recently. He's had 105, 88, 109, 108, and 100. 4 out of his last 5 starts, that guy's gone over 100 pitches. Now, Max Fried, last year, they always used to let him get 80, 85, 90 pitches. They'd yank him. So I do like that. He gets Washington. Now, Washington has not really that many strikeouts, but we like the win equity. He should be pitching with the lead. So I think Max Fried's interesting at 8,800. Luis Castillo, man, that guy, man, that's like, that's fun. You like riding roller coasters, Luis Castillo could be for you. I mean, the dude could have a great game and be one of the best pitchers on the slate, or he could just, absolutely suck. Generally doesn't get really blown up too much. Cortez, I worry about Cortez. I'm not really sure that I'm really a fan here of this one here. I think Cortez is really my least favorite of all these guys, 8K or above. Reagans, yeah, I really like Reagans, especially against, the strikeout heavy Minnesota team. I think Reagans in the high end here is probably who I'd look at here. I think between him and Peralta, it's pretty tough. And the only reason being for Peralta is, man, go look at the Cubs. They can't hit for shit in the last month, man. They just been, I'll say it. Where's my man, Michael? He can't hit out of a damn paper bag. I mean, they can't hit out of a paper bag recently. Maybe that'll help shake up the Cubbies a little bit up there. I don't know if you're, you might like the Cubbies. I don't know if you're up that way. Probably a Brew Crew fan, but hey, you never know. He's up north. But Peralta's interesting. I think Wheeler's pretty safe, but I don't know if I can pay 11. Now, there's too many options up there today, but I think Wheeler, if you wanted to get different, you could definitely do that, but you're going to have to probably go, somebody a little bit, on the lower end. But, out of this bunch here, I think Peralta with that matchup against the Cubs stands out. I think Gausman at 8,500 is going to get a ton of ownership, and rightfully so. I think Fried's interesting. I mean, there's 5-6 guys you definitely could play here. And then, there's guys here at the bottom half too. So no Cubs fan. All right, fair. I can't hate you for that. But a lot of options up here. I think today is probably one of the better pitching slates we've seen in a while. So I think pitching is going to be pretty spread out. I don't think you necessarily need, I think Gausman probably will have the most ownership.
I think so.
Just because he's 8,500. But, I think between the other guys, Reagans, Peralta, Wheeler, I think they're all going to be spread out. So I don't think you really need to be too concerned about that.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I will say, like, the bats I want to pay for are pretty expensive on this slate. So I don't see myself being able to go like Wheeler, Freddie for the most part. If you do, pair one of these like Reagans, Freddie, Wheeler, Cortez, Castillo, it's going to be contrarian. There's Gausman at 8.5 that's going to get ownership. Fried still looks a little cheap at 8.8. Luzardo at 8K looks a little too cheap. Fott looks a little cheap at 7.6. Hunter Brown, we'll get there again, looks to get some ownership at 6.5. So there is cheap-ish options or mid-tier options that I think people will gravitate to get the bigger bats. How I see it, the highest K prop on the slate's Freddie, 7.5, a little juice on the under. Reagans and Wheeler are the same at 6.5, minus 135 on the over. Give me Reagans over Wheeler for the 800 savings. Give me Freddie for the 500 savings over Wheeler if I had to pick. Again, it's no strong lean. If you can fit Wheeler, you have the money. I think he's a very solid play. San Fran, we like playing pitchers there. Weather's not great. I'm not scared of the San Fran order. But Wheeler gets you 22 at 11K. Like, I don't think that's going to be – not that it's not on the winner. It's not like MMA or Showdown with very little combinations. But I don't think you would need Wheeler at 22 points by any means. Like 30, you might need him. But maybe even 30 you don't at 11K. So it's a price play. I'd rather take the savings with Reagans, who's been phenomenal the past 2 starts. Again, K props there. I'm fine picking on the Twins. I like Freddie at 10.5 too. The Cubs have been bad, as you mentioned. But yeah, like, I want to save some money. No Cortez against the Angels for me. Someone mentioned he's better at home than the road. Angels also do hit left-handed pitching pretty solid. I'm out on Cortez. Castillo, like, I think he's fine, but I'd rather pick on Gausman against the White Sox, Freddie against the Cubs right now. We'll get to Hunter Brown later. Moral of the story is there's a lot easier matchups for Reagans, for Freddie, for Wheeler than Castillo against Houston. So I think he's fine, but I prefer Fried I prefer at 8.8 against Washington in a better matchup. Good win equity as well. Gausman's going to be chalky, but it's a 10-game slate. There's plenty of ways you can get different. Luzardo's the one I've been struggling with a little bit because I've been riding him these past couple starts, and he's been solid. The price hasn't moved much. San Diego's not someone I love to pick on, but it is in San Diego. Like if it was in Miami, it'd be fine too. You get through the Tatis of the world, the Machados of the world. What are your thoughts on Luzardo? Because I think he gets some ownership.
Yeah, I don't mind Luzardo. San Diego's bottom 6. They're 639 in OPS against lefties. So they're a bottom 10 team against lefties. You know, as you mentioned, the park, usually at night when that marine layer comes in, that ball gets, daytime's when you want to play in San Diego. At nighttime, the air gets a little heavier from the fog coming in from off the ocean. So that's something, definitely want to look at. I don't mind Luzardo. I think he's definitely an option. I think, like I mentioned at the start, he's pretty much a pivot off of Gausman, if you ask me. I mean, Luzardo could definitely keep up with somebody like Gausman. I don't mind that at all. So I think that's definitely in play today. So, and two, just to go off with Andrew Martinez, isn't Reagan's better against righties than lefties? I mean, just looking at Reagan's numbers, when, you were talking, Reagan's is 30.5% against strikeout percentage against righties. He's down 7% difference to lefties, and the Twins are going to roll out all righties. So, we're looking at a team now. The Twins don't have that high of a strikeout percentage against lefties as they do righties, but there's still some strikeouts to be had. I like Reagan's. I just, that kid, if you watch that kid, man, that's like Chris Sale Jr., man.
And I will say it's pretty close. Like the strikeout rate is what stands out the most, righties against lefties, but ground ball percentage is a little better against lefties than righties. Fly ball is a little better, lefties, righties. I wouldn't look into it. Like he's good against both at the end of the day, but the strikeout numbers is better against righties. What's going on, Zach? Hope you're doing well, man. Yeah, let's talk 8K and below. So you touched on Luzardo a bit. The people I have some interest in, Brandon Pfaadt against the Rangers. I don't know about this Ben Brown character. I can't do him. You mentioned Dunning. I don't love Dunning at 7.1K, but Hunter Brown, I think, is going to get a good bit of ownership down here at 6.5K. I think he's going to get a decent bit of ownership on FanDuel, too, at 7.4. Again, this is a slate where this Coors Field, the Yankees have a high team total. The Braves have a high team total. If you want to spend for good offenses, you are going to be spending for it, so you can't just go all the way up at pitching. Now, I'll say right away, if Hunter Brown's going to be somewhat chalky on this slate, it is in Seattle. They do strike out a ton. But, man, Hunter Brown just hasn't really been good this year, and we have so many elite pitchers on the slate. I don't want to say, like, I would completely fade him by any means, but, like, I just don't like him much at chalk. I think Matt Waldron's an interesting pivot for cheaper. The knuckleballer absolutely can get destroyed, but I do think he's a fine pivot against Miami for cheaper. I think Dunning's a fine pivot for a little more. I don't know if I can do Tristan McKenzie. Someone mentioned it earlier. The Rockies really are that bad, and Cleveland should have put up runs, but I'm always hesitant to do a pitcher in Coors. And then I guess it'd be Brandon Pfaadt. But I do not love the cheap range, and I do think Hunter Brown's the most popular, and that scares me, especially on a 10-game slate with a lot of good pitching arms. I think some Seattle leverage actually would be my preferred over a chalky-ish Hunter Brown. Take it away, 8K and below.
Yeah, I do love Pift, whatever his name is. I think he's interesting. That dude's had a shitload of quality starts in a row. Yeah, I know what it is. I just, but that dude's been pitching really well, man. He's pretty consistent. So I think at that money, at that salary down there, I mean, he's a pretty consistent option for you. I mean, Texas. I mean, they're up and down. I think that is an option you could definitely look at. I think that's a decent pivot off, guys like Gausman and Luzardo. Irvin. Now, I think Irvin's interesting against Atlanta. I mean, Atlanta has been struggling a little bit. They just lost Acuna. I mean, maybe if you wanted to do that, I think he'd be really, really low owned. Atlanta's going to get some ownership tonight, so you definitely get some leverage there. But I don't know if I could do it. Irvin hasn't been too bad, though. Really hasn't been getting beat up. So he does struggle a little bit more against lefties. So, that might be something to consider. Brown against Milwaukee, he's only going to go a few innings, probably 4 from what I'm seeing. Dunning, that's interesting. And, on some of the sports books, they don't even have Dunning listed as the pitcher. Like on DK Sportsbook, they don't even Dunning listed. So I don't even know if he's really officially going to be in there. So I was kind of skeptical if that's even going to be the case, if he's the pitcher or not. Because when I was looking around even before the show started, I didn't see it on DK. They didn't have any pitcher listed on their sportsbook. So
yeah, they still don't. I'm seeing Dunning Yeah, they still don't though. DraftKings Sportsbook doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's just weird. So I'm just keeping my eye on that. So definitely keep your eye on that if you got interest in Dunning. Now, Woods, Richardson, Kansas City, man, they just been pesky. I'm not going to really go there. No thanks. Hunter Brown, now as you mentioned, he is probably going to get some ownership because he's Seattle. I think what you mentioned, I think I'd rather take the leverage and play Seattle today than play Brown. I mean, Brown, he started out really shitty. He had a really shitty start of the year, got beat up quite a bit, but I don't think I can do that. There's too many options today. I think the chances of Hunter Brown being on the winner are probably fairly low just because of how many good pitching options we have, especially at the lower price point that we can get today. So I think it's too big of a risk. There's too many options that can get you at that lower range. Now, maybe if there wasn't, you're looking from Gausman down, there's maybe 4 guys you could probably really consider that people are going to play. So there's too many chances to get you. So, and then you would need Brown to be absolutely perfect. So, I mean, if it was just Gausman and he struggled out the bat and, he was 45-50% owned today, and then you took the chance on Brown and he only lost to him by a couple points, even though it wasn't bad, you're not going to really lose much. But there's too many other options today that can fry you. So I think it's a little more riskier today to play some of these other guys down there. I mean, all the other ones below, I wouldn't even really consider. Howard, Feltner, no thanks. Canning's a gas can. Clevenger, we know, got scratched. So, I mean.
What about Waldron? Knuckleballer, 4.5K prop, juice on the over. And I will say, Ben Brown, too, it doesn't feel like books are convinced he's only going to go 4 innings. 5.5K prop, it's minus 125 on the under, minus 105 on the over. That's pretty solid. That's higher than Tristan McKenzie on this slate. That's close to Luis Castillo on this slate. Close to Nestor Cortez on this slate. Again, I look at K-props, I think, more than probably most in the industry. I trust books a lot. They're very sharp. They take a lot of money. I don't know, man. I don't think books are lining him at 4 innings.
Last start, he had 42 before. I don't think they're going to let him. You're looking at a guy that's probably only going to have 70 pitches.
Yeah, 19.
I mean, shit. I'll tell you what, I'll be honest. I was sitting there looking at freaking Clevenger today, man. I'm going to top his fucking under K prop today. And now they already canceled his ass. I was thinking about that one earlier today, thinking, oh man, this guy isn't going to strike anybody out. That guy's lost it. But,
man, it's tough. Fott's been pitching really well, but Texas, I don't love picking on. Luzardo's been pitching really well. I don't love picking on San Diego. Gausman just stands out as the clear. He's going to be chalky. But I think there's enough pitchers that it's not like he's 60% or something by any means. Yeah, let's rank pitcher. I will say my favorite guy down below, I think, is Waldron. Just taking a shot as the direct pivot off of Hunter Brown for $300 cheaper. The knuckleballer against Miami. The ball should stay in the park. His last 3 starts, 15, 30, 17. I'll take all 3 of those. He had 21 in Coors Field. He's fine. Now, he absolutely can get blown up. Knuckleball, if it ain't knuckling, if you don't have your stuff that day, you're throwing beach balls. But beach balls in San Diego against Miami team, I think, is fine. Some loud outs at the warning track is definitely in play, even on misses. So how I'll rank them, I mean, Gausman's 1. That price tag's too good. I'll go Reagan's 2. Oh, gosh. I don't want to go like a Freddie or Wheeler because I know I'm spending up at bats. I guess I'll go Fried 3. Fried feels very safe because she should get the win. This Washington lineup isn't scary. Fried's been very safe. But the upside in Fried, if you're telling me a couple pitchers are getting 30, I don't think Max Fried is one of those pitchers. So take that for how you want. So let's see what Max Fried's K prop is. 5.5. Yeah, minus 140 on the under. Ben Brown has a higher K prop than Max Fried, which is really scaring me right now. I don't know. Cap it off. Fox is minus 155 on the under at 5.5 too. It's there's a lot of pitching options, but when you go lower than 8K, I think it gets pretty sketch. What are your final thoughts?
Yeah, I got Peralta in Reagan's 1A, and then I'd probably say Gausman. And then I would go, I mean, I think Wheeler's definitely a top play today, too. I'm just not going to pay up the 11K for him because, as you mentioned, I do want some bats.
If you have money, you can definitely play Wheeler. He feels very safe to get you at least 17.
Yeah, but I mean, I like Luzardo and Paff today. I mean, I think both those guys. I think there's 6-7 guys that I would have no problem rostering. And I mean, to go on the cheapest of the two, you could probably go Paft and. I mean, if you wanted to go your Waldron, you can go Paft and Waldron, and probably I'd feel somewhat safe at pitching where I wasn't taking that big of a risk, and you got all kinds of bats to build. I mean, you could go Gossman too if you really wanted to. I think Gossman is probably he's going to be less owned on FanDuel. He's going to be really
for sure
DK. So
I will say it's also not good hitting weather in Chicago. Like it's 60 degrees. There's again the weather, like I think I mentioned at the top, he has Pittsburgh, Detroit, orange, yellow. That game's not even on the main slate. It's on the turbo slate. Then the only other game he has Toronto, Chicago as yellow. Looks like increasing like a late start in play. So like we're not worried about weather, but I want to mention because it's 60 degrees. It's 80 degrees in Atlanta. It's, I guess, a little chilly in Minnesota, but it's warm-ish at some other parts. It's chilly in Chicago.
I think Fried too is like Josh is putting, he could get, a full 9 innings, which he can, as we mentioned. He's had 100 pitches, 4 out of his last 5 starts. Washington's bottom 4 in OPS against lefties. They're just not very good. I mean, the strikeouts may not all that be there, but I mean, Fried, he could get you 6-7 Ks, get you 8 innings. I mean, you're going to get, that's definitely going to pay off that $8,800 price tag over there on DK. So yeah, a lot of options here today. So, I mean, I think today is a day title. You might want to build your bats and then kind of figure out what you want left for pitching. And then, kind of decide, maybe I just got a lower, maybe roster a cheaper bat here to get whoever else you want. But I know a lot of people like to start with their pitching when they're first building their lineups, and then they see what they have left. Just try doing a little different today. Do a little backwards today. There's a lot of options I think you could use today. So just maybe help you not pigeonhole yourself into, make it, putting the bats that only allow yourself. Because if you use some high-end pitching, you're going to have to use some obviously cheaper bats. You're not going to be able to put any Yankees, Braves, anybody like that, even though the Brave stack's a little cheaper today, obviously, without Acuna.
Yeah, no, I do like that call, though. There's some on the slates like this where I'm more condensed bats and I'm fine with multiple pitchers. I think if you build your 5-man favorite stack out, don't fill like all your hitters because you don't care as much about your secondary, your 2-1 or your one-offs or whatever. Get your 5-man that you want and then mess around with the 2 pitchers and see what you're left after that. I think that's a very sharp move on this slate today. And again, you can do that in the optimizer, in the Shiptimizer. Just say, you want my 5-man stack's going to be the Braves. I said that because it's going to be the next game we talk about. In the min Braves column that we talked about in the player or right before the player groups, you can have 5 min for the Braves. Every team will spit out. We'll have at least 5 Braves on it. Then check about what other pitchers. Like maybe then max every other pitcher at 50%. Build 20 teams. You'll get a whole diverse portfolio, a 5-man Braves stack with multiple pitchers. Even if you just single entry, mess around with the optimizer. I use an optimizer for single entry, and it'd be something just like that. Knowing I'm playing one team, knowing I want the Braves, you make the rule to get every team you make a 5-man Brave stack, then just see what pitchers, what combinations, what secondary stacks look good to you and roll with that. So,
Title, real quick, some advice that I had a long time ago that I ended up doing when the optimizer started coming out and I wasn't sure. I used to play like, $1 contest that, and I would put in the lineup that I ended up on that the optimizer told me, or gave me. And then what a lot of times I would do, I would just make one change or a 2 versus 2 change to see like how the changes I like. And I can tell you almost every time I made the change to like one off or whatever else, I always seem to have a higher score. So I started doing that myself, like taking the optimizer and then just making my own little change. Something might have caught my eye or I've been watching a guy. So sometimes I might just make a pivot or just make a change or, just do whatever else. So, I ended up just fooling with it. And then you kind of see the numbers. And if you like what the scores are getting, bump your total up, bump your number up, put it in your $50, start using it as your main thing. But, like the Shiptimizer, you don't have to start out using it with your whole bankroll. Fool around a little bit with it, play with it a little bit. That's why they got some of these cheaper contests. It's like, just get your feet wet a little bit. But I suggest, getting you a lineup, falling on some things you like, maybe making a change or two by yourself. I always thought that to be fun. I kind of felt like it was me versus the computer, and I, took it that I was always winning. So and I had fun with it. But, I think that's a good piece of advice too. If you're new to optimizers, just fool around a little bit with it and just see where you're coming out. I mean, it's better than writing down all the scores yourself. Just play in a couple quarter contests or something. Who gives a shit?
Definitely mess around, with it. And an optimizer is only as good. It only does what you tell it to do at the end of the day. Like, again, the projection randomness. If you want the optimal, the straight SHIPIT Nation projections, turn that down. It'll literally give you the best, highest projected. If you want 5 Braves, tell it to give you 5 Braves. If you don't want Zach Wheeler, X out Zach Wheeler. Like, it's the changes you make. It just makes your process faster. You get to see a lot more. Computers are smart. It can make lineups that I don't even think of. And you can see projected ownership right next to it, salary, et cetera, makes it very easy. Last thing, then we'll go bats, K-Town's finest. Thoughts on Brown and Waldron combo. Very interesting because it leaves
Brown?
100, yeah, he's saying Hunter Brown. It leaves you a 4,600. No, he's saying, what are the thoughts on playing both of them? 6,500, 62. I'm not going to say no because it's going to be very low owned, that combination. If they get you 15 a piece on this slate, no one else gets like 25 at pitching, you can get all the bats in the world you want. And we do want, at least myself, if you're playing the Yankees, you can get Judge, Soto very easily, whereas some other people not be able to because of pitching. Do I love it? No. Do I think it's the craziest thing in larger field stuff? No, I would not exclude that combo. I'm definitely not getting there in single entry stuff or hand build, but 20 entry, the larger field stuff, it's definitely contrarian. It gets you the bats. I don't think it's the craziest thing.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to look too. How many high-end pitchers you think might be able to get you 30? I think there's more guys today that could get you 30 than on an average day, let's say. So I think when you're pulling off something, that theory is probably better on a random day, a normal day where we got some high-end arms today, that could get you 30 points today, maybe 4 or 5 guys. I think, you got to assume not all of them are going to bust. 1 or 2 of them are definitely going to get there. So I just think that's just, you're almost at that point. You got to have Waldron to get you 25, 20 some points at that point. If you want to win a GPP now, I mean, I think you're going to have to, because if any of those top end guys go off, you're behind the 8 ball already.
I will say, if the Braves put up 13 runs and it's because of Michael Harris at 4.5, Riley at 5.1, Ozuna 5.7, Olsen 5.3, and Ozzie at 5.4, like that. If one of those double dong, the 15 from Waldron and the 30 from Wheeler can easily get, and you don't need to be perfect in baseball is also the thing.
Would have to, yeah. I mean, you'd have to be absolutely perfect. I mean, I guess you have to be perfect all the time anyway, but I mean, I just try to look at when I'm looking at taking a chance like that, like what are my likelihood of me getting beat, and if there's too many angles for me to get beat, I think it's obviously
the risk reward's not enough.
I mean, I definitely like the process. I'm just trying to talk it out for you so you understand what you should be thinking about, basically is like how many guys can burn you, how many other landmines are on there that you got to step in. It's like, hey, if you got a Rottweiler or a German Shepherd in your backyard, you best not go out there with socks on in the dark. If you got a Chihuahua, you can go out there in the backyard with no socks on because you're probably not going to step in any shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. Let's talk some hitters game by game, 10 games to talk about. Again, the first one right here, Atlanta Braves, Washington Nationals, Jake Irvin, Max Fried on the mound, 80 degrees, wind blowing out to center a little bit. The Braves are going to be – the thing is, they're one of the teams with a team total above 5, like the Yankees, like the Guardians. But I think they're going to be lower owned than both the Yankees and the Guardians. Obviously, Acuna goes down, a big plummet to this offense. It makes it a little cheaper. Sean Murphy's also back. Austin Riley is back. So you lose Acuna, you get Riley, you get Murphy. Again, this is where if you're playing Waldron and Brown, or like when I do think that'd be okay, is if you just want to 1 through 5 the Braves. They're all expensive. Sean Murphy, I think, will be the most popular Brave. So I think he'd be my favorite to leave off in a stack. You can always get different at catcher. He's 3.5. He's a good play in a vacuum in the 6 hole. Irvin struggles against both sides, I guess. Definitely worse against lefties, though. So I do prefer the Olsens of the world, the Michael Harris of the world, Kelnick at the bottom of the order, Ozzie switch hitter. But my thoughts. Braves, I think, are solid. They're going to get some ownership, not crazy amount because they're expensive. People want to spend up at pitching. People rather spend up for the Guardians, etc. I like the Braves. I like full manning them without Sean Murphy. And that is when you go and you play a Waldron. If you want to play both of them, etc. Nats, on the other hand, against Max Fried. Fried's going to get some ownership, but not enough where I want to play the Nats on a 10-game slate. So you can always play CJ Abrams. I doubt I do it at 5-5 myself. Maybe a Nick Senzel. Righty lefty. Not much on the Nats side. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really play anything on the Nats side. Max Fried's he's just too much of a ground ball pitcher, for me. I can't really go there on that side. But Fried, I think, is in a really good spot. So definitely not going to any Nats bats. But as you mentioned with Irvin, strikeout percentage, 4 or 5 points less than lefties. He's at 21% against righties. So I guess just kind of looking at it, I don't know, fly ball percentage, 36% to lefties. So you're going to want some guys like Olsen and Albies, all these guys that can get the ball in the air on the left side. You got Harris leading off. I think he's going to be pretty popular, but Irvin hasn't really got blown up too much. So, I mean, I think, I don't know. I think the Braves here are in a really good spot. As you mentioned, you're going to get them a little lower owned. I think the Yankees are probably going to be one of the most popular stacks here today, but I think the Braves are like a pivot team that you can go to that you're going to have to pay up for, that I think are in a decent spot here today. I won't say I absolutely love it just because, the Braves have struggled a little bit. Now they just lost arguably their best player. So, I mean, we need the Braves to pick it up a little bit, but if I like anything, I definitely like the left side today.
Yeah. I like the Braves. 1 through 9, Sean Murphy would be that least favorite just because of ownership, I think, on him. Excuse me. You definitely can include him in your stacks, though. Good hitting weather, wind blowing out. Even without Acuna, this is still a very good offense, top to bottom. So give me some Braves. Next game, Blue Jays, White Sox, Kevin Gossman, and now it's Jake Woodford in for the scratched Mike Clevenger, 7.5 total, 60 degrees in Chicago. Definitely no White Sox for me. Again, I already said it. If I'm doing any leverage stack against a somewhat chalky pitcher, it's Seattle against Houston and Brown. Yes, Gossman will be probably, double the ownership as Brown, so you get way more leverage with the White Sox, but you're getting like leverage for 0 and 3 points from most of these dudes. So no White Sox. Blue Jays, I don't know, man. It depends on ownership. Like, I think they're going to have to get ownership. Like, Schneider leading off only 4-3. Vladdy, that most expensive on the team's $5K. Danny Jansen at catcher's in the 2 hole, so he's going to get some ownership. Like, you can go Gossman, Freddie Peralta, and 5-man Blue Jays, who have a solid team total against an awful bullpen and an awful starter. So if that's the case, the Blue Jays stink. Like, they just don't do anything. Not good hitting weather. It's a price point play. People are going to play them. I think I'm out really on the Blue Jays. I came in expecting it to be Clevenger. My thoughts were kind of the same. So I haven't dug into this Woodford character as much. He's not good from what I've seen. Like his starts, he's just not good.
The over-under 7.5, and I just looked and it hasn't moved. So they don't give a shit. They must thought Clevenger.
Well, Clevenger sucks too.
Right. So they were like, fuck it. They all suck. But I mean, seriously, it's only 7.5. I mean, I kind of would expect it to be a little bit higher actually. But yeah, I mean, the Blue Jays are the team this year that are kind of like the Twins, right? Like they just not been doing it for us. I mean, shit. I mean, Danny Jansen's probably their best damn hitter. I mean, Bichette finally started hitting a little bit. Varsho has been hitting, but Springer's been terrible. Guerrero's been terrible. I mean, these guys just been underperforming, just been kind of blah, just not getting it done. I'm not going there. I'm just not going to do it. I mean, I feel like I'm going to let everybody else waste their money. I'd rather not. So if they're 10, 15% owned as a stack, then, go ahead. I don't fear them at all.
Yeah, I'm with you. Let's get to this KC Minnesota game. Also 7.5 total. Not something we usually like. Cole Reagans, Simone Woods Richardson on the mound, 65 degrees. I like Reagans. No chance I'm playing any of these Twins. As far as KC against Woods Richardson, I don't know. It looks like he's a little worse against righties to start the year. It's pretty neutral. The sample on Woods Richardson isn't really large enough yet. Seems like just an okay pitcher. You can always play Bobby Witt. The dude is a freaking stud, but he's 6.2K on a slate that pricing's kind of tight because there's good pitchers and there's expensive teams I want. So I don't think I'm going to get to Bobby at 6.2 or Salvi at 5.5. Again, you can always play him. My favorite would be Nelson Velasquez. 5-hole, 3.3K. He's got some pop. He's one of my favorite one-offs. I don't think I can get behind a 5-man Royal stack because the guys I want are pretty expensive. Not great hitting weather, team total below 4. I'm out on this game outside of really Nelson Velasquez and always Bobby if you want him.
Yeah, always you could play Bobby. Bobby's getting himself in that category pretty quickly, but I'm not really a fan of anybody either side of this. I was just looking here if you wanted to look at any one-offs, maybe be against Reagan's for some leverage. I mean, Willie Castro's hitting 400, 415 against lefties. If you want to look at that, he's like top 10 in OPS in all of baseball against lefties. So, I mean, you want to look at something like that, maybe you could go there. But yeah, this game here, no thanks. We got a low total, so I'll just we can pass on the bats on this one, even though Kansas City is a little more intriguing to me. But in a game of 7.5, I think we got some better options here in the slate.
Yeah, the thing is, I just know I'm not going to be playing Garrett Hampson, Kyle Isbell, and Nick Lofton as my stack if I'm going the Royals. I want the top of the order, and they're just expensive, and there's others I prefer if I am spending up is the main thing for me. And there's going to be a lot of X's in terms of bats. Like I mentioned before, I think there's a lot more pitchers and just a handful of offenses to stack. So that's where I'm at today. Right here, another one I don't like much. Cubs, Brewers, Ben Brown, Freddie Peralta, another 7.5 total. I'm not playing any Cubs against Freddie. I don't think Freddie's, I guess, going to be high enough owned. Like I was looking, if I was going to play someone, a Suzuki maybe, a Cody Bellinger, Ian Happ, why play some of these Cubs against one of the best pitchers on the slate when I can play some other offenses against worse pitchers, is my thoughts. The Brewers against Ben Brown. Again, I still think Ben Brown is somewhat in play. I know everyone's worried about pitch count, rightfully so. A 5.5K prop at pretty much even money. It feels really hard for me to think DraftKings hasn't projected at like 70 pitches. Josh kind of used these words, but that they haven't projected at 70 pitches and 5.5Ks. Maybe they do, and he's just an electric arm. I mean, 24% Ks against lefties, 31 against righties. Yeah, I guess maybe, but I don't know. He's not going to get ownership. Do I like these Brewers? Joey Ortiz, Bowers, Yelich, I guess, but I don't really like the Brew Crew either. Just mini stacks at best. But I do not think Ben Brown at 4% ownership in chalkier lineups is the craziest thing today either. What do you got in this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think I like the Brewers side a little bit more. I mean, they're the second best hitting team against right-handed pitching in all of baseball. I mean, they got the second highest slugging percentage, the second highest OPS. I think the Brewers are interesting, actually, because if Brown does get beat up and he only goes 4 innings and they bring in Smiley, that's what I was trying to think about earlier. I mean, Smiley's the guy they may bring in, or Hendricks. I think they probably go toward Hendricks, possibly, especially if he got run out of there pretty quick. And if Hendricks comes in, like I said, he can't hold anybody on the base pass. He gets stolen against all the time. Brewers run quite a bit, so I definitely like that. I just think here with the Brewers, I think it's a sneaky spot that you could get some lower owned stack here. So I think the Brewers are interesting for me. Contreras has been hitting the shit out of the ball lately. Obviously Yelich, but I think it's interesting. So I think the Brewers for me are definitely going to be on my radar. If I was playing 20 teams, I'd probably have me a handful of Brewers for sure. But I definitely think that you could go Brew Crew today.
Makes some sense. We'll keep it rolling. Spent a lot of time on pitching, talked a little Shiptimizer. Still got 6 games left on this slate. Appreciate all 133 of you hanging out. If you haven't hit that like button yet, do us a favor, 2 seconds out of your day. Like button, subscribe button helps us out a ton, bringing you shows almost every single day on this channel. If you're not a member, ShipItNation.com, so many options, MLB only, weekly, no Discord, no Shiptimizer, but you get all the content. There's monthly, 6-month, annual packages. Get in the Discord if you do join. And shout out to our golf team, man. Absolutely on fire. Best in the biz. And again, Lee's Coors Fit rankings having the winner 1%, Riley at 1%. I think it was like 6,400. Absolutely insane. So great stuff from the team at SHIPIT Nation for PGA. 6 games left. This is, I guess, kind of like my Brewers play if I had to pick one. Diamondbacks, Rangers, Brandon Pfaadt, Dane Dunning on the mound. 2 guys that struggle with lefties a lot more than they do righties, and both teams will be throwing out some lefties. We do have these wow, what am I trying to say? We do have this D-backs lineup. We don't have this Rangers lineup yet. Corbin Carroll, Kettle Marte, Jock, Pavin Smith, Jake McCarthy. Christian Walker's in the 4-hole, but outside of him, that's 5 lefties they have in the first 6 spots. They're cheap. Outside of Kettle and Kettle's 5K, Corbin's 4.4, Jock's 4.1, Pavin Smith 3.2, McCarthy 3.4. I will say the problem is 4 of those guys are lefty or are outfield only, so you only can play 3 max on DK. Corbin Carroll will be the chalkiest of them, but I think all lefties are in play right there. Probably more of a mini stack, a cheap mini stack, guaranteed 9th inning at bats. Are the Rangers against Pfaadt on the other side? I mean, always Corey Seager. And I think I'm good with Corey Seager as a one-off. I like him more than Abrams. I like him more than Bobby Witt. Will be very low owned. Josh Smith should be in there. Nathaniel Lowe should be in there. Maybe Jonah Heim, Tavares. It's really just lefties, mini stacks on both sides for the most part for me. I prefer the D-backs if having to choose. What do you like?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I don't like really either team in this game, to be honest. I'm still kind of concerned if Dane Dunning's even going to be in there. But, man, Arizona just hasn't been hitting for shit lately. I mean, you just look at the last 15 days, they're like bottom 5. They're hitting their slugging percentage like 347 or something in the last like 2 weeks. They're not hitting the ball at all right now. So I think I think I'm going to pass there. I like Path too much to play the Rangers at this point. So I'm not going to go there. And there's really not enough leverage. I think if you like any kind of one-offs, Corey Seager is starting to come back. I mean, Corey Seager is starting to become Corey Seager. So you could obviously go there if you're looking at a shortstop position, if you wanted to swap out or maybe get a one-off. And I'll tell you, man, I was just telling my buddy, shortstop has been all of a sudden the premier position in baseball lately. Like, man, I used to just punt it. Shortstop was like the punt spot. Like you just get somebody in there that could, get you some points, but shit, now you got to get some home runs out of them shortstops here recently. But yeah, this game, I don't know. I could see the Arizona side of it and the reasoning, but man, they're not hitting right now. So for them to all put it together today, for me to win a tournament, I think it's just a tall task.
Yeah, it makes sense. You like the Brewers more. Like I like the D-backs a little more. They're in the same boat though. Very low-owned 5-man stacks, pretty much low-owned all the way around, and we prefer it more as minis to fill out your lineup, but totally makes sense. Coors Field, Gyiraszin, Guardians, Rockies, Tristan McKenzie, Ryan Feltner on the mound, 10.5 total, 75 degrees in Colorado. Don't have Guardians lineup. We have Rockies lineup. Man, I want to play these Rockies. I talk about it a lot. Like I like playing the lower owned team, which is 99.5% the Rockies because they stink in Coors Field. They're going to be pretty low owned, have a pretty high team total, especially in terms of the ownership. So I'm still in on the Rockies, but McKenzie gets hit way worse against lefties, and the Rockies only roll up 2 lefties. Not that they really have a choice because their whole team stinks. But Blackmon and Ryan McMahon, I definitely like both of them, 1 and 3 hole. Outside of that, you have to play righties if you want to full stack it. I just don't know if I really want to full stack any of these other guys. So more so mini stacks, Blackmon, Ryan McMahon. Guardian side, yeah, I'll let you take that away. They're going to be popular. They've been playing great ball, especially Jose Ramirez. Jimenez 5'4", Ramirez 6'4", Naylor 5'6", Fry 5K. Like if you play them, that's maybe when you go a Hunter Brown, Waldron. And don't even think if you go Hunter Brown, Bassett, 5-man Cleveland, that you're sneaky by any means. So if playing Cleveland, think about how not like they're going to be way, way uber chalk on a 10-game slate, but I do think they'll be the highest total ownership offense on the slates. What do you see in this one?
Yeah, the Indians are going to be pretty popular. Rightfully so. I mean, we got a game of sitting there 10.5. It's a full couple runs higher than almost everywhere else. So, I mean, Jose Ramirez has been hitting the shit out of it. Fry is like one of the better hitters in baseball all of a sudden. I mean, Naylor's been smashing the shit out of it. So you can get some cheap guys there for a wraparound too with them. So that's definitely interesting. And as you mentioned, you know, you were I was looking at McKenzie to think, could I roll back some Rockies here even? I mean, you look at this guy's numbers here so far, you know, this is look like the last 30 days. I mean, he's at 16.7% K percentage to lefties. He's at 28% to righties. His ground ball rate to lefties is at 29%, 53% to righties. So he's really heavy ground ball pitcher to righties. They're rolling out 7 out of 9 righties, you know, and then he's a pretty high fly ball pitcher, 39% to lefties. So as you mentioned, Blackmon and McMahon are really the only 2 guys that I'd even think about playing here. I mean, obviously Blackmon, top of the lineup, definitely like him there. But yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, but this is a spot here. If there's any negativity toward this with the Indians, as I mentioned, I like the Indians against lefties. I mean, one of the top teams in all of baseball against them. You look now at their team stats against righties. They're really not that. They're still really not that good. They do get a bump, obviously, in Coors Field. So if there's any kind of reason why you might think, I don't want to play them, it's because that they're really not that good against right-handed pitching. I mean, they're just not. Look at their team stats. Lefties, they've been smashing them. But, yeah, I think I still think the Indians are in play here today. But I think I would include a bottom part of the lineup and try to wrap it around. I think that's a definite way to get a little bit different here. They haven't dropped the lineup yet. I was just trying to see if they dropped it. But I think they got that one kid. He's a rookie. They've been hitting him I think they've been hitting him in the 9 hole. I forgot his name.
Monzerato?
Yeah, Monzerato. That kid's, I mean, he's pretty good. I mean, he's been decent, so I don't mind him. But man,
the thing is, you only can play him.
As I mentioned, I'm getting over my fucking hatred toward the Indians, and it's really easy for me to hate Ohio teams because I'm a Michigan fan, and anything attached to a Buckeye, they could. As far as I'm concerned, but it's my birthday. I'm allowed to rip on you. It's all right. And we won the national title in 3 in a row, so I'm just going to give it right on back. But the Indians been whitewashing the Tigers for the last freaking 2 decades. So, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's the teams I love to hate. That's what the fun of sports are. So, but I'm going to put them back in my pool, but I'm going to try to stay a little bit there with lefties. If they were against a lefty today, I'd be all in. I'd be way, way over the field. But the righties, not so sure, but I am going to probably play some today.
I like it. Good breakdown. 4 games left, Gyiraszin. Talking about these Yankees. Michael can't get off. Talk to us right here. Yankees, Angels, Nestor Cortez, Griffin Canning, 8.5 total, 70 degrees in LA. Take it away. The Angels have been solid against left-handed pitching, like Pilar, Taylor Ward, Adele. So if you want to mention any Angels, I think they're fine as cheap mini stacks to make lineups work, relatively speaking to this slate. Like, I'll mention a little foreshadowing. These next 3 games, I do not have interest in pretty much any of them, outside of maybe a little Seattle leverage spot. So Angels would probably be the dustiest team that I have any bit of interest in, and it's mini stacks at best. Talk about the Yankees, talk about the Angels.
I'll tell you what, if you want a game stack one, you think it can keep up with Coors, this is your winner right here. This is the one I think you could keep up. Cortez does struggle, against the righty. I think the Angels hit lefties, one of the better teams against lefties as well. So I think the Angels are definitely in play here today. I don't mind that park at all. So, I mean, it's actually got more runs scored than Yankee Stadium. I looked it up today. I couldn't believe it. But, and then also, too, I mean, obviously the Yankee side, Griffin Canning, what the hell? That dude they might as well go put a T up there on the damn box. That guy sucks. I mean, look at his numbers. He can't lefties. Oh, holy shit. He's like 9% strikeout against lefties. He's 35% fly ball rate. I mean, adding Verdugo and Soto to that lineup has helped this Yankee team quite a bit, man. And I'll tell you, I mean, both these guys, too, are in really good spots. Soto, Aaron Judge been one of the hottest hitters in all of baseball ever since they booed his ass on his bobblehead day, which I thought was kind of funny. So he's been back hitting the shit out of the baseball. I think the Yankees are in the best spot today, probably the top stack. I do think they're going to be pretty popular. I mean, if you wanted to, I was looking to see if their lineup dropped. It hasn't yet, but I was just kind of wanting to see, who maybe they roll out there at catcher today. But, I don't mind Trevino or Wells sometimes. Just depends, really. But
probably going to be Wells, hey? Get the platoon.
I would assume. But, yeah, I mean, Yankees 8-41 versus Canning. I mean, Canning stinks.
I will say, like, 41 is just not enough sample, even close to me, for MLB. Like,
no.
41 at bats against a whole team is, it's baseball. That even if that said like 30 against 41, it wouldn't be enough. Lineup is out, Andrew Martinez said.
Let's see here. It's not on MLB.com yet.
Yeah, I don't see it yet either.
So, but yeah, I think this is the game. You could literally game stack. I think this is the one that I do like for a game stack. And I think you get the Angels really low owned. So for me, yeah, let's. I think this one here is the game stacker for me. If you wanted to go outside of Coors,
I don't know if I'm going crazy, but I'm literally scrolling through every single underdog tweet, and I somehow don't see this. But everyone else keeps saying DJ's in the 9 hole, so it is out, I guess. Yeah, we'll keep it rolling. That's interesting. I'm going crazy, I guess. Everyone sees the lineup but me, and I guess underdog. I don't know. Let's keep it rolling. 3 games left. Then we'll get on out of here. Appreciate everyone hanging out. Marlins, Padres, Luzardo, Matt Waldron on the mound. 65 degrees, 7 total. Easy X for me. I have some interest in Waldron. Have some interest in Luzardo. I don't like playing too many teams in Petco Park, especially as a 5-man. Not great weather. I definitely don't like 7 totals.
Yeah, that's kind of hard. I mean, I don't even know if you wanted to look at any kind of one-offs that you might be interested in. I mean, nobody's really even making the charts on either team. I mean, maybe Jazz you could look at if you wanted to maybe look for a one-off who's been hitting a little bit. But other than that, I'll just pass here in the spot.
2 games left. I guess they posted it really early. Wow. Yeah. Hey, that's why we got chat. Chat always keeps us in check. Appreciate the help. 2 games. Astros, Mariners, Hunter Brown, Luis Castillo on the mound. Another 7.5 total. I will say, like, all the ownership, like these last 3 games, it's going to be so low owned. Like, when I keep saying pass, it's not going to be a hot take by any means. So it's one of those days. If you are in first place, hey, you can feel solid about it. It's baseball. Crazy things happen. You did have Hunter Brown ownership, some Zach Wheeler ownership, but there should not be too much bat ownership, team stack ownership in these last couple games. As far as this one, though, Houston, Seattle, I'm not really interested. Like, Castillo's not going to get enough ownership to stack Houston, and I very much respect Castillo as a real-life pitcher, so I'm out on the Houston side. We talked about it, though. Like, if I'm playing a leverage stack, I think it's Seattle against Hunter Brown. They have some pop. They obviously have plenty of strikeouts, but give me one. Crawford, Moore, Luke Raleigh, Cal Raleigh, Julio Rodriguez, Canzone, maybe even a little Ty France. Like, I can play this team, I guess, 1 through 7. Do I love it? No. Probably more of a mini stack, like a Cal Raleigh when everyone's going to Sean Murphy or everyone's going Danny Jansen. I think it's a very solid pivot. Julio Rodriguez at 5K. No one's going to spend up there. Dylan Moore, third base and shortstop eligible. Yeah, I think some of these Mariners are fine, just mainly because I think Brown is over-owned and by far the worst pitcher that's going to get some ownership on this slate. At the end of the day, I don't love Seattle, though. Yeah,
I think Seattle's better for like some mini stacks. If you wanted to go there out, I think that's the way I'd go. And as you mentioned, I mean, just looking at the numbers, I mean, he's got 22% K rate against the righties, 26 and lefties. I mean, his ground ball rate's really high, 51% to righties, 40% to lefties. So obviously he's more of a ground ball pitcher. So, but I mean, I don't mind Crawford, Raley. Dylan Moore has been one of the hotter hitters in all of MLB. And of course, you know, we know Julio's got some talent. So I don't mind the Mariners at all here today, but you will get some leverage. But I think that's more of a DK only play, though. I wouldn't really necessarily go there on FanDuel. I don't think Brown's going to get too much ownership on FanDuel as he will on DK. But yeah, I think Seattle's definitely a team you could use as more of a mini stack that you'll probably get pretty low owned.
Last game, Gyiraszin again. Appreciate everyone hanging out. It's 10 games, a lot to talk about. We did at the beginning of the show. If you just hopped in late and you didn't see, we talked a little Shiptimizer, did a little tutorial on that. Definitely check that out. So many options, weekly, monthly, 6-month, annual, MLB only. If you want to join the nation, shipitnation.com, join the team, check it out. Definitely do get in the Discord. All right, finally, someone else said it too. Might not be going crazy. Maybe Adam and I are going crazy, but that makes me feel a little better. But yeah, SHIPITNation.com. Get in the Discord if you do join. Last game, Gyiraszin, Philadelphia Phillies, San Francisco Giants, Zach Wheeler, and it's going to be a bullpen game on the Giants. I think it's going to be Spencer Howard as the long-term reliever. Maybe not. Bullpen game, though, for the Giants. I just can't play these Phillies because they're coming out of Coors. The prices haven't adjusted. Schwarber 5.5, JT 5.2, Harper 6K, Bohm 5.9, Stott 5.1. Like if I'm paying up, I am going to be playing the Yankees, the Braves, the Guardians, any of those teams over Philly. They're going to be low owned, but it's a 7 total in San Fran, which is a park we don't like. 60 degrees. Yeah, no. X for me. And I will say, okay, so everyone's saying DK has it and no other indication. So my guess is DK is just tweaking. That's not where I'd go for lineups. And I would not be locked in. Like, obviously, you're still probably trying to build, but or like you're not locked. You didn't have your Yankee stack, and then you're just not going to look all night. But I am not certain that that's the lineup. I actually don't think it is. But again, that's
I'm
enough
not
of that.
sure. Usually MLB.com's pretty quick with that. But yeah, I mean, this one here, I'm not really interested. As you mentioned, Philly's still priced up a little bit. I mean, bullpen games, people think that, like those are, easier plays. They're really not, because then they can play matchups quite a bit. So, and Aaron, I mean, the 12, it's always windy in San Francisco. It doesn't matter. The wind gets blocked. So it's that park is built to block the wind. It doesn't really affect anything. But either ways, I'm not a fan here. I think Wheeler, could be one of the better pitching plays. I mean, more I think about it, Wheeler could have one of them games today where you got to have him. Like, I mean, he's that kind of guy. He can definitely throw up some numbers. So Wheeler's the one I'm probably afraid of the most, of not having much of, because I probably won't have much of him. But he's the guy of any player on the slate, I think, that I'm afraid of not having the most of.
Yeah, he's 11K. He's the highest price on the slate. It makes sense, but he definitely can go put up. The Giants are applied for like 3 runs. You don't see that at all. Before we get on out of here, last thing. Right here, Jason, anyone know, can you completely X out an entire team, or am I overlooking at it? Again, we are like, there should be an easier way right now, like to sort a team and just say X on all of them. Again, we're adding a lot of things to a sheet. If you have any recommendations, we have a Shiptimizer thing in Discord. Add that stuff there. The easiest way, though, right here, just say you want no Los Angeles Angels. You see Angels are on the left side, their opponent's there, so make sure you get the team on the left that you want to fade. Right there, max hitters go right to 0. That's the easiest way to make sure that you have no Angels show up. So that's right there in the build, or next to build settings, team stacks. Go down to the team that you don't want and go 0 is the best way to do that. That's enough talking baseball, Gyiraszin. You go enjoy your birthday, some high noon, some safety meetings. Win some money tonight. 10 games on tap, pitching, hitters. You did a great job talking about it. Final words for the people before we get on out of here.
Man, appreciate all the birthday wishes. Let's go out and win us some money here today. As I mentioned, man, Angel Hernandez retired. So all you baseball fans, that is definitely a gift to all of us. And then, hey, as I mentioned earlier, 100 days till football starts. So we got a lot of stuff going on here at SHIPIT Nation. And 2, hey, I saw something today too that I want to give a shout out to our boy Tommy G, even though it didn't work yesterday. I did bet it though, because I saw it, but he put out a tweet that said, hey, we got the #1 bullpen against the worst bullpen with Cleveland and Colorado. If Colorado gets up, look to bet on the Indians in a in-game bet, just because the bullpen discrepancies are so big. So of course the Indians get down 3 runs yesterday. I smashed it, and it didn't work out so well, but I'm going to be watching for that again today, if that happens again today. But I mean, just a little bit of things like those guys talk about over there. I know they're our sponsor over here too, so just wanted to give them a quick little shout out here right at the end. But
ShipItNation.com/4deep. Head over, Tommy G and the guys. You get 20% off using the promo code SHIPIT. They're focused on betting, not just picks, process, education as well, like Gyiraszin saying about the bullpen. Very sharp. Make sure to check them out if you're interested in betting. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, and what we got some golf this weekend. We got MMA too coming back.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
make sure you guys check out. We got the best MMA team. We got the best golf team. We got the best baseball team. Man, we got it going on here. Now the Shiptimizer is definitely something of interest that I've been having fun fooling around with. But man, had a lot of fun today. It's my birthday. I'm going to finish up the slate plan so we can all win some money. And then we're going to have some fun. And we'll be back here tomorrow talking some more baseball. But, man, appreciate all the well wishes.
Hey, absolutely. You're the man, Gyiraszin. Enjoy your 52nd birthday. Enjoy like your 6th birthday celebration. Next Tuesday, you might be talking about your birthday. Awesome stuff. Appreciate everyone hanging out. Like button, subscribe button on the way out. Have a good night. Gyiraszin, you're the man. Happy birthday. Let's see some Shipping Nation logos up top. Gyiraszin on Titletown. Peace. Be safe.